What if the image model you've been relying on is actually holding your work back? Nano Banana 2 has been my go-to image model for months, helping me create all sorts of high-quality outputs. And then GPT Image 2 dropped and people started saying it was a direct competitor. So I ran both of them head-to-head on the exact same tasks, and the results were way more surprising than I expected. The platform I use to access both models and run my stress tests is called OpenArt. If you didn't know, OpenArt is an all-in-one platform, so I can use all the top-notch models under one subscription. Everything is running through the same workflow with the same output settings and the same environment. The only thing changing between each test is the model itself, so we can have legitimate results. When you open OpenArt, you land on the main homepage. There you'll see lots of options, but to access the models, click on Image, which will take you straight into the image generation workspace. Once you're inside, you'll see the model selector sitting at the top of the page, which is what I'm using to switch between Nano Banana 2 and GPT Image 2 for every single test. I will paste the same prompt in the prompt box, swap the model, and we see what comes back. If you want to follow along with me and test these models yourself, I've left a link to OpenArt in the description below. Now let me tell you what the 4 categories actually are before we start. Category 1 is complex text rendering. Category 2 is photorealism, specifically skin, eyes, and hands. Category 3 is image editing, where I take an existing image and ask both models to make targeted changes to it. And category 4 is prompt adherence, which is where I give both models a genuinely complex set of instructions and see who actually follows them precisely. Text rendering sounds straightforward until you actually try to push it. Most image models can handle a single word on a sign without too much trouble, but the moment you ask for multiple text elements at different scales in different typographic styles, all sitting in the same frame together, that's where most of them start to fall apart. Letters disappear, words get mixed together, and entire elements from the prompt just disappear. So for this first test, I built a prompt that gives neither model an easy path through. It asks for 3 different text styles at different scales, all in one image. Both models are running at 16 by 9 at the highest resolution each one offers. I'm starting with GPT Image 2. The result is honestly incredible. The neon sign, the chalkboard, and the plate next to the door all have the exact text style that I asked for, and everything is readable. Even though I prompted for so many different things, every element rendered cleanly without a single letter shifting. Now I'm swapping to Nano Banana 2 with the exact same prompt, and at first glance it might seem like a tie. The realism and text rendering is good enough that most people won't notice any flaws. But if you zoom in, you'll notice that instead of one sign next to the door, it's split into 2, one on the door and one on the right. And some of the letters on them have shifted, making it harder to read. So category 1 goes to GPT Image 2. Nano Banana 2 was honestly very close, but GPT Image gave me an output with 0 flaws and with better details, so I have to give it to that. Now the next category is one I've always heavily relied on Nano Banana 2 for. Let's see if it holds up. Photorealism is where image models get exposed fast. Generating a beautiful landscape or a stylized product is simple, but the moment a human face enters the frame, every flaw becomes immediately visible. Our brains are wired to notice when something is even slightly off about a face. And hands are even harder. They're the thing that gives away an AI image faster than almost anything else. So for this test, I didn't go with a clean studio portrait or soft, flattering lighting. I went extreme close-up on a weathered face with deep wrinkles and both hands wrapped around a mug of steaming black coffee. This prompt asks for everything that makes photorealism genuinely difficult, all in one frame. This is the category I was most curious about going into this test. Nano Banana 2 has always been strong on realism, and that reputation is earned. But GPT Image 2 has been making serious claims in this space, and I wanted to test it myself. Let's start with Nano Banana 2 this time. The result is up, and honestly, it's strong. The composition is solid, the lighting reads well, the face has real detail to it. This is exactly the kind of output that built Nano Banana 2's reputation in the first place. Now let's run the exact same prompt through through GPT Image 2 and see how it compares. What comes back is a softer yet more realistic image of the old man. Nano Banana 2 is great at producing sharp textures, but that's not always realistic. This image, even if it's softer, has more believable features like the wrinkles on his face. The steam rising from the mug is also a huge detail that stands out, and it's way more natural here. When I put the two results side by side, the difference is subtle and it's a close call, but it's not a tie. Category 2 goes to GPT Image 2, but creating an image from scratch is only half of what you can do with image generation. What about when you want to alter an existing image? The reason Category 3 matters so much is that editing an existing image is a completely different skill from generating one from scratch, and the model that wins on generation doesn't automatically win on editing. So I took the fisherman images we generated and uploaded each back to its model. So this time I'm not generating anything from scratch. This way, we test whether a model can understand what's already in an image, hold onto the elements it's been told to keep, and integrate new elements in a way that feels like they were always part of the original scene, rather than pasted on top of it. I'll paste in this prompt and ask for 5 different changes while maintaining the old man's consistency. Editing is genuinely harder than generating, and I think a lot of people underestimate that. When you generate from scratch, the model has full creative control over every element in the frame. When you edit, it has to hold the original image in one hand and the new instructions in the other, and find a way to blend them without losing the reference or ignoring the prompt. Most models lean too hard in one direction or the other. I'll generate with GPT Image 2 first. The face stays very close to the original. You can clearly tell it's the same person and the likeness is preserved well, but the pub background feels slightly placed rather than built around him, like the environment was layered behind the subject, rather than the subject existing inside the environment. Now let's test Nano Banana 2. The face is slightly less consistent, but in return, the pub interior integrates with the subject in a way that feels cohesive. The lighting reads consistently across the whole frame. The background and the foreground feel like they belong in the same space. So here's my honest take on this one. If preserving the exact face is your priority, GPT Image 2 holds it better. But if you care about the final image feeling like one unified scene rather than a composite, Nano Banana 2 edges this category. And for most real editing use cases, the integration matters more than the face precision. So Category 3 goes to Nano Banana 2. There's one category left, and it's the hardest to get right. This is about prompt adherence, which is whether the model actually does what you told it to do. That's the difference between a model you use constantly for professional outputs and one you second guess. I built a prompt for this test that has exact counts, placements, and specific details attached to almost every element in the scene, and the difference in how each model handled it was not subtle at all. The scene describes a wide cinematic rooftop birthday party, and inside that prompt there are so many specific elements that the model has to get right all at once. Prompt adherence is where a lot of models quietly fail in a way that's easy to miss if you're not checking carefully. They generate something that looks beautiful, and then you go through the prompt element by element and realize that specified elements just aren't in the image at all. It's the difference between a model that interprets your prompt and one that actually executes it. GPT Image 2's result is on screen. And let's go through the checklist. The candles, the letters, the people, every single element is where the prompt said it should be. And the image looks cinematic on top of all of that. Everything comes together and it looks like a real photograph that's cohesive. Compare this to Nano Banana 2 and the difference is night and day. The basic elements are there, but this feels so stiff and unnatural. On top of that, a few elements like the bulb count are off. It got the vibe right, but it didn't follow the instructions precisely. Category 4 goes to GPT Image 2. The final score is 3-1, and that result actually tells me something important about where each model is right now. Nano Banana 2 is a strong creative tool, but GPT Image 2 is a more precise one. And depending on what you're building, that distinction matters a lot. Which brings me to the part of this video I've been most excited to show you, because the winning model feeds directly into a video workflow that I think is genuinely one of the most impressive things I've seen inside OpenArt, and I want to show you what it actually produces. Back on the OpenArt homepage, click on Video and select Smart Shot. SmartShot is a feature inside OpenArt that uses GPT Image 2 to build out a complete pre-production document for your video before a single frame gets rendered, and then animates it using Seedance 2.0. I already have a consistent character of myself saved inside OpenArt's character feature, so I'm going to select her from the SmartShot character menu. Then I paste in my scene prompt. Then I hit Preview Sheet, and this is what comes back as a complete pre-production document from that one prompt. There's a full character reference sheet pulled from the saved character, keeping the face and look consistent across every shot. There's an environment and set design breakdown. And there's even a storyboard that lays out the sequence, shot by shot, and a camera plan with the movement mapped out along with the lighting and the mood. This is a full pre-production document for a 15-second AI video. If you're happy with the shot plan, hit Generate. SmartShot then hands the locked plan to Seedance 2.0, which renders all 5 shots using the GPT Image 2 frames and stitches them into one multi-cut cinematic sequence. Let's look at the final result. The fact that all this came from just one prompt is insane. Seedance 2.0 rendered the motion, and what came back looks like something that had a production crew behind it. This is what happens when the image model underneath is actually strong enough to carry the whole thing. GPT Image 2 can not only rival and even surpass models like Nano Banana 2, but we just watched it power a full cinematic AI video, and all of it ran inside OpenArt under one workflow. So if you want to try GPT Image 2 yourself and make cinematic outputs using SmartShot, use the link in the description below to sign up to OpenArt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.